Hello, Sarah Klein here from Anu Yoga School for Yoga Sutra 1.2. So for 2025, we will be traveling through the Samadhi Pada, and I will be sharing one sutra a week of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So this is a huge sutra. This is it, folks. This is the definition of yoga through the lens of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. One of my teachers, Annie Pace, would say, yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. So it's a very simple way to think about it, but let's unpack it. And I'd like to note and to remind everyone that these sutras can be very exacting, very direct, very clear, and they can also be unpacked endlessly. So if you'd like to join me on taking on this chapter for this year, I encourage you to get several translations, and every week read different translations of this sutra. So you can really see what lands and how this sutra can light up within you. All right, so we talked about what the definition of yoga is last week. Yoga means unity. It means unity consciousness. It means to put together, to bring together. And the analogy that I'd like to share for that is first the reminder that yoga is an experience, it's a consciousness, it's a mindset, it's a state we slip into. It is not the methods that we do. Therefore, it's not the asana, it's not the meditation practices, it's not the chanting. All of those serve as the tools, or really the tricks, to ground your mind in an experience of yoga. So here's the analogy that I was thinking of this week is if you were to visualize a trail that's never walked, and the branches are in the way, the plants are in the way, and it's really challenging to get from point A to point B. However, if you walk that trail with consistency, you beat it down, you get the branches out of the way, and you can walk with ease. Essentially, that is what the method is to the experience of yoga. Yoga is the experience of now, it's of presence, it's having the ability to contain or pull in this situation. All the many streams of consciousness flow into one single awareness. So can we pull in our mind, our body, our nervous system, all to the present moment? And so the more we do the methods of practice, the more that path gets beaten down to the experience of presence. So walk the path through consistent devotion of practice, and the path into presence becomes more accessible to you. Okay, so yoga is unity, union, to yoke, to huge, and then we have yoga's chitta. Now, chitta often is translated as our mind, and it is, however, Bhavani Maki really expands the translation of yoga, which has really supported me in understanding this, where it's this container, it's our nervous system, it's our body, it's our subconscious mind, it is our aware mind, our conscious mind, and chit means to collect, which is pointing to, as we go through life, we collect things. We collect beliefs, we collect habits. Some serve us, some don't. And then we tend to build our life around those. So for example, whatever your second grade teacher told you were really good at, you chose to take on and pursue, and then you build your life around that habit. Or the reverse, somebody along the way or a failure demonstrated that maybe you are not super naturally gifted at whatever, and then you build your life around that belief, and that would be a self-limiting belief. So the chitta is really the field that has collected these stories, the identities, the habits that we build our lives around. And it tends to oscillate. And that leads us to vritti. This is the oscillation. This is the knee-jerk tendency. This is the reaction. of the consciousness. Another way to think about it, it's an eddy or a whirlpool. And if you could think of a river, which is ultimately flowing back to source, back to the ocean, it can get eddied out. And these habits, these tendencies, these beliefs, these identities that we take on that don't serve us are those eddies. Those are the vritti, the fluctuation. And then the last word is nirodha. Ni negates. Ruda is the goddess of storm. So it's pointing to the tendency for the personal energetic field, the chitta, to have this storm-like quality. Now something so let's define it. So what is yoga? Yoga is a state of equanimity. It's a state of inner stillness. It is where the fluctuations of consciousness are nirodha, are still. Okay, so one thing I'd like to just name is until we take time to really sit with ourselves and get quiet, we might not even realize how challenging this is. So first, we need to start the process and meet ourselves right where we are at witnessing the mind. And that is when we're in a still space, where we're watching how these fluctuations arise within the personal energetic field and how they determine how we think, how we speak, and how we act. So ultimately, yoga is the process of creating space. The asanas do such an incredible job at creating space within the body, within the joints, within the vertebra of the spine. And that space creates ease and grace and stability within our body. The meditation practices and asana, all the practices of yoga really learn or teach us how to get still so we have the power to witness the mind. And as we start to sit with ourselves and witness the mind, ultimately what happens is space between the thoughts, space between the fluctuations of consciousness, space for the breath, which is supporting the nervous system. A deep meditative breath allows the nervous system to tone, to steady. So the practices of yoga give us space in the breath. And then as yoga is a way of being in the world, as we learn to witness the mind, ultimately what we're trying to achieve is to have space between the fluctuation of the mind, the thought, and how we choose to speak or act. So space between vritti and karma or action. Okay, so yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. And as we travel through this chapter this year, we will continuously come back to the sutra. This is the definition of yoga. This is what we're working to accomplish, to move towards, and to embody. Because yoga is not something we do. It's a state of mind. It's an embodied practice. It is a way of moving through the world and ultimately moving with more space, more grace, more ease, more sweetness. So yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the experience of having a still consciousness. All right, thanks for watching. Please do like, comment, share if this video lands for you. I'm super stoked to take on this chapter with you. So follow along for more and yes, enjoy witnessing.